When we talk about keeping an engine alive, really alive, we're not just talking about oil changes and topping off fluids. That's what everyone focuses on. But what really separates engines that run strong past 300,000 miles from the ones that fall apart early are the small things, the overlooked details, and the habits that quietly either save or destroy that lump of metal under your hood. Let's start where most people never even look: the crankcase ventilation system. That little PCV valve and its hoses aren't glamorous, but they're critical. Over time they clog up with oil vapor and sludge. When that happens, pressure builds inside your engine. Seals that are supposed to keep oil in start leaking. Gaskets fail. You end up with oil burning off, and soon you're topping up every other week and wondering why your engine's running hot or losing power. A quick check, a cheap replacement, that's all it takes to dodge this slow killer. Next up, fuel delivery. People trust their fuel system because it seems invisible. But dirty injectors don't atomize fuel the way they should. Instead of a clean mist, you get dribbles and droplets, and that throws off combustion. Carbon builds up on valves. Pistons run hot. Detonation, engine knock creeps in. And that's how you go from smooth power to burned valves and scored cylinder walls. A good fuel additive now and then, or even better, proactive injector cleaning, it's simple insurance. But the engine breathes through more than fuel. A lot of folks ignore the air filter because it doesn't look that dirty. Here's the thing: even a partially clogged filter restricts flow enough to make your engine work harder for air. That richer mixture that follows? More carbon, more fuel dilution in your oil, and more heat. And if you live somewhere dusty or you do a lot of city driving, it happens faster than you think. Keeping that filter fresh is like letting your engine take a deep breath. And while we're on heat, let's talk cooling system, because heat is the slow poison of engines. Most people think about coolant levels, maybe the thermostat. But what about that radiator cap? That little piece of hardware control system pressure. Lose pressure and your coolant boils at a lower temperature. Boiling coolant doesn't cool. You get hot spots, warped heads, blown gaskets. And what about those radiator fins? A clogged or bent-up radiator can't shed heat the way it's supposed to. The same goes for the condenser sitting in front of it. A simple rinse with low-pressure water now and then keeps them breathing. Cooling fans, they're your lifeline in traffic. But relays fail. Fuses pop. Temperature sensors lie. And if that fan doesn't kick in when it should, you might not see the damage until it's too late. That's why watching your temp gauge isn't optional. It's your early warning system. Ever think about the belts that drive your water pump? Serpentine belts stretch and crack. A slipping belt means your water pump doesn't spin right, your alternator undercharges, and your power steering strains. And if that belt snaps, you're stranded, or worse, your engine overheats fast enough to cause permanent damage. Checking that belt for cracks, glazing, or looseness is the kind of 5-minute job that pays off big. Now let's get into what you can't see: engine grounds. Every sensor, every coil, every bit of your ignition relies on clean, solid grounds. Corrosion on that ground strap or a loose connection that can cause misfires, sensor errors, even overheating because the fan doesn't get the right signal. Electrical gremlins stress your engine in ways you'll never see until something fails. And then there's oil. Not just changing it, that's basic, but using the right oil. The viscosity your engine was designed for isn't just about flow. It's about getting to critical parts fast on cold starts, holding up under heat, and keeping clearances right. Using cheap, wrong-spec oil might save a few bucks today, but inside, where's quietly adding up.
And if you're running a turbo, the stakes are even higher. Turbochargers live or die by oil quality. Speaking of turbos, heat soak kills them. Shutting the engine off right after a hard run lets oil cook inside the turbo bearings. That's how sludge forms. That's how turbos seize. A simple minute or two of idling after spirited driving. That's all it takes to let things cool evenly. Let's not forget about vacuum hoses and intake boots. With age, heat, and time, these start to crack or collapse. A small vacuum leak messes with fuel trims, leaves the lean running, higher combustion temps, and eventually internal damage. The engine compensates for as long as it can, but make no mistake, it's suffering. A careful look or a smoke test catches these before they become a problem. Here's one most drivers never even think about: motor mounts. Worn mounts let the engine move more than it should. That movement stresses exhaust components, coolant hoses, wiring. Things start cracking, rubbing, failing. And every time you blip the throttle, that flexes quietly, beating up your car. Battery health matters too, way beyond just starting the car. Low voltage messes with coil strength, fuel injector timing, variable valve timing. Your engine might crank, but weak electricals force it to work harder for the same output. Regular charging system checks aren't just for peace of mind. They protect the heart of your vehicle. And while we're at it, carbon buildup. Direct injection engines especially suffer here. Without fuel washing over the valves, deposits form, choking off airflow. Performance drops, efficiency tanks, and misfires creep in. Walnut blasting or chemical cleaning at the right interval keeps things clean where you can't see.
Let's not forget software. Modern engines are tuned to run on the edge of efficiency and emissions. Manufacturers release updates to fix hidden issues, things like over-advanced timing, problematic idle control, or overheating in certain conditions. Keeping that ECU updated could be the difference between an engine that quietly dies young and one that lasts. Finally, there's the way you drive. Cold revving, hard throttle before the oil's warm, constant short trips where the engine never reaches full temperature. These are death by 1,000 cuts. Engines like steady, smooth operation. They like to warm up fully. They like clean fluids, clean air, and to be spared unnecessary strain. At the end of the day, there's no magic bullet for longevity. It's all these little things combined. It's knowing that an engine doesn't die suddenly. It wears out one overlooked detail at a time. But when you pay attention, when you stay ahead of the small stuff, you're rewarded with an engine that just keeps going mile after mile, year after year.